Heyo, welcome back to Luck Management. I'm your host, Carter Loesch, and we are always brought to you by Charm ND. Hold a piece of Notre Dame in your hand, and also our other sponsor, the University of Notre Dame Idea Center. So if you're a student, if you have an idea, if you graduate from Notre Dame, the Idea Center is an awesome place for you to learn about the different inventions they're building, how you can grow your business. It's awesome. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of having on another author on the luck management lifestyle, Dr. Sherry Kelly. Welcome to the episode.
Hey, Carter, it's great to be here.
It is so awesome to have you on. We were just talking about it before. Probably as big of a Notre Dame fan as me, like lover of the Irish.
Absolutely.
And I think the primary idea of today is I'd love to get into more about your career and all the work that you're doing, but highlighting this new book that you've released.
Thank you. Here it is. Your tiger inside.
Your tiger inside.
Yeah.
And now let's mention how we kind of got connected here. So we had Kathleen Kiefer did the visualizations for this book.
She did the illustrations, and as your audience knows, Kathleen Kiefer is our, beloved alum and wonderful artist who captures the spirit of Notre Dame in her artwork. She's just amazing. So I asked Kathleen about 2 years ago if she would do the illustrations for my children's book, and she did.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I want to get into the book, and so your tiger inside, and it's actually in funding. You guys are doing a lot of the donations. Is it 100% of the donations, or
no? It's a portion of the donations go to the Parseghian Medical Research Fund at the University of Notre Dame, which supports rare disease research.
Yep. So first off, that's incredible. Parseghian, Notre Dame legend of the game, and one that is going to get us thinking about the national championships we're about to win in these next few years with Marcus Freeman, but also to be able to contribute and give back. So your tiger inside, can you give me the origin stories of how that sort of began?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a psychologist for over 25 years, but I've worked with children in therapy for over 30 years.
Okay.
And so one of the commonalities that I've seen over the past 30 years with kids is this distrust of their own emotions. And then they become grown-ups who don't even trust their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak this, from a woman's point of view. Maybe Carter, you guys talk this way too. But I know when I go out with girlfriends and I hear my daughter speak with her friends, they often say something like, should I be feeling this way?
Yeah.
Or do I have a right to be angry? And so there's a reason why that happens. And it comes from a very early point in our development where we learn to not trust our emotions.
100%.
And that gets us into a lot of trouble as we age or as we go into adulthood.
Absolutely. I mean, as a kid, and it's kind of been phased out throughout the last few years with books like what you're doing, but the idea of, be a man, right? You don't want to have to face your emotions or don't even think about those. What is that going to do for you? And if you explain that, then you're going to look weak. And so you store it within, and then it creates this world of anxiety. Because I bet anxiety's been around forever, but it feels like anxiety is the buzzword of the last 5-10 years. Everybody has
It's been around forever, even when I was in school. So it's been around a long time. It actually, professionals started writing about anxiety in the 20s, 1920s, so over 100 years. Okay. And so one of the things that I teach kids in the book and adults who are reading this to kids is that anxiety is neither good or bad.
Right.
Actually, anxiety is a very important superpower that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is like a bioevolutionary survival mechanism.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Fight or flight.
Because that feeling of anxiety is making you alerted that something might not be right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's alerting you that you have to do something, take some action.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that anxiety feeling is telling you a story. Maybe it's telling you you're not prepared.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's telling you you need more information. So when you look at your emotions as alarm bells or alerts, then you can really start figuring out what it is that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So being anxious about an exam coming up is not necessarily of, oh, you're going to do bad. No, it's going to push you to actually study harder so that you're prepared for that exam. Right.
Right. And so one of the things that I teach in the book is that we don't ask why questions about our emotions. We
Huh?
don't ask, well, why do I feel anxious? Okay. We don't ask, well, why am I feeling so nervous about this exam? We ask the what.
The what? Okay.
And so instead, we ask, what is this anxiety trying to tell me?
Right. Okay.
What, not why am I anxious, but what is this anxiety alerting me to?
Mm-hmm.
Or if we're down and sad, what's this sadness trying to tell me?
And
What is
you
this?
have to like put it in buckets, right? Like you're able to kind of segment it out. Interesting.
Well, when you ask the what, it will get you many more answers than when you ask the why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you ask why questions about emotions, it kind of feels judgmental.
Yeah, blaming, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you ask a little boy, why are you crying?
Yeah.
That's kind of judgy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? But if you ask that same little boy, what are your tears trying to tell you? That's empowering.
That's a new way of thinking about it. Yeah, it's
It is, right?
shifting that why to a what.
Yep. It's really powerful. And I will tell you, a lot of the young men that I do therapy with in their 20s, early 30s, they often tell me that their partners complain that they don't have good emotional communication.
Okay, emotional intimacy or like being able to let the
Express your feelings, right?
hmm
And they asked me for tips, and I use many of these same strategies with adults.
Yeah, we're all just big babies. We just grown up a little bit, right?
Well, what happens is that we're taught to shut down our emotions
Yeah.
from a very early age.
Yeah.
So even like a well-meaning adult might say something, if you're afraid as a kid, they may say something like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Don't be afraid. But you actually know that there is something to be afraid of. Or you're angry and you're a kid. Well, you might say, you might have heard this as from a parent, there's nothing to be angry about, or the best one, you have no right to be angry.
Mm, yeah. Who are
Right.
you to say, right?
Right. Or, no one wants to see you angry. So
Yeah.
you shut down and then you start not trusting your own emotions. And that makes it difficult for you to make choices in life.
I've been
It,
there too. Yeah, you get this like paralysis by analysis because you say you need to. I mean, I've done it personally in myself. Like, I've taken times to say, like, okay, I need to process this instead of kind of taking it on. I don't think you should have to take on every single thing right in the moment. But if you have continually done that for your whole life, then you're not getting to root cause and root problems.
yeah. And then you get into these questions of, well, should I be feeling this way?
Yeah.
And then you don't really end up trusting yourself.
Yeah, the idea of like validating your feelings can sometimes be too much because there's a lot of media out there that like nobody cares about your feelings. So why should you? Or like
Yeah.
nobody
Oh,
cares till you
because
win, you know?
so you should really care about your feelings because your feelings are a protective mechanism.
Sorry, it's just I got a notification, so we're all good there. Sorry.
Okay.
Um, right here. All right, we are back. Um, so can you say that line one more time?
Yeah. So you had said that there's messaging in the media that no one cares about your emotions.
Yeah,
You should care about your emotions
absolutely.
because if you look at your emotions as a bioevolutionary protective mechanism,
Mhm.
then you're going to start tuning into those feelings, and those feelings can guide you into what action to take to get what it is you need or to get what it is that you want or to problem solve or to find solutions.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I think if you are able to build out those practices as a child in
Mhm.
a less consequential experience, because if you're doing it at work and stuff and you can't control your emotions, that can be an issue there. But if you've had years and years of practice of that, then you can kind of stabilize and have the right sort of conversations and be able to communicate effectively.
Well, then you'll know how to respond. So while there's no such thing as a bad or good emotion, we don't judge emotions. That's not the same for behaviors or reactions or responses.
Okay. Okay. So, what is this? Can you give a small little background of this journey that this lion goes or this tiger goes on?
This tiger, this book is about two little tigers named Toby and Tabby. They're based on my real cats at home.
Nice, nice. I'm a
And
dog owner, but respect.
I also have a dog.
Hey,
But
beautiful.
the little kittens are very different. One's always crabby and one's always scared.
Okay.
And I also wrote the book for both neurotypical children and also those who are neurodivergent. So, for example, if a
Yeah.
child has autism, these are ways in which I help children on the autistic spectrum understand emotions in a logical way or in a comfortable way.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
for both. And the little tigers learn, I mean, the little kitties learn that inside they have their tiger,
Yeah.
and their tiger is acting like an alert system or an alarm system. And the tiger is alerting you to things that you might not always hear, but you might feel,
Yeah.
or you might not always see, but you might feel. And you ask your little tiger inside, what is this telling me?
Hmm.
What is this alerting me to? What might I need to cope? What might I need to feel more hope? What do I need now? What is it I don't know that might help me?
Yeah. Shifting that what instead of the why.
Yes.
I,
And
I
this,
yeah.
go ahead. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I personally do that. I say, why am I feeling this way? And it does feel like a blame. That's, hey, you're helping me out, not just the kid.
I'm glad this works, right? And so it's sort of like if you're, let's say you're really nervous about going for a job interview
Yeah.
and you're really anxious. And you then go through these steps and you say, well, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What's this alerting me to?
Hmm.
Okay. It could be, I'm afraid I won't get the job. Okay. And then what? What would happen if you didn't get the job?
Yeah.
You
You have
walk it
to talk
through.
more. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Or what is it that you might need to feel less anxious? Is it a knowledge gap?
Hmm.
What is it you don't know? What is it that will make you feel more prepared?
Yeah.
Maybe this is telling me I'm not prepared enough to go in there. I don't know enough about this company or this business to go in there. And so it's telling you what you need to do. And that is very empowering when you figure out the action that you can take to feel better and to feel more empowered.
And I think it snowballs, right? Like, because if you don't learn this at an early age, or if you don't face these sort of things, then you can sort of trauma bond to things that are not able to like be beneficial for you. Say people that, um, you know, get into fights, or maybe they have different vices that they take on. So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not facing those problems, and they're subsidizing with these other areas that allow them
Well,
to stay.
yeah, or they will just avoid their feelings or diminish their feelings. They won't understand themselves.
Yeah. Hey,
And
I think a lot of people in this world are dealing with that day in and day out.
yeah. And so, I do a lot of work with people in their teens and 20s. That's sort of my biggest area of work over the past 30 years. Um, and we're living in we're living in that VUCA world, right? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, right?
Absolutely.
And it's difficult to navigate that world.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And you're not always really given the best tools just because you might have a degree in something, right? After
Mhm.
college, right? And there's so much uncertainty, especially now in a world that's changing so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. And this whole idea of, 100 years ago they talked about this anxiety, but it's been a evolutionary thing of our systems for our entire lives. But as our lives have also gotten, quote unquote easier, and like we're not in a fight or flight, or we're not in like an issue, it's the way you're bracketing those things. You need to be able to utilize it and use it. That's where I
Yeah.
see like luck management, right? Like you're in good luck or you're in bad luck, but how are you managing it? How are you taking those opportunities?
How are you managing it? How are you tuning into it? And, it's sort of like when our brains were really forming in, let's just say in the caveman times, right?
Yeah.
We started to develop this internal alarm system in our brains,
Hmm.
okay, very much connected with our hormonal system that kept us from the saber-toothed tiger, right,
Right.
or predators or a other tribe
Hmm.
that might kill us. Well, now we still have those saber-toothed tigers. They're just in the form of people, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Fast food restaurants.
The IRS,
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
uh, you know, uh,
Hurricanes in Houston
yeah,
and
there
Florida.
you go.
I get.
So, we still, have this system that's highly sophisticated. And the thing that we want to do is utilize this, not run away from it.
Yeah.
So, getting back to this, I'm going to ask you a question that I want to know if you know the answer to.
Okay.
What is the opposite of uncertainty?
Uh, so certainty.
Okay, that's like a logical answer, but actually,
Ayo, this episode of Luck Management is brought to you by Charm ND. Love thee, Notre Dame Lucky Charms. I love Notre Dame, and when I went to school there, I wanted to have a way of holding a piece of Notre Dame in your hand. And the first iteration came from small little tubes and filling up with pieces from around Notre Dame. And it's evolved into a really cool and wonderful business that I truly cherish. And now we have necklaces, we have keychains, we have earrings, and we have bracelets. All of these pieces are from Notre Dame. So in our keychains, we have soil from Notre Dame's campus with 24 karat gold flakes. We have AstroTurf from the Notre Dame football stadium and wood shavings from the old seats of Notre Dame Stadium, a true classic of history and tradition of the Notre Dame football way. We also have gold helmets that are painted with the same gold that they use on the Notre Dame football helmets and from the Golden Dome, straight gold from the Golden Dome. All these pieces are so incredible to me, and I hope that you all enjoy them. And you can find me on charm_nd on Instagram, or you can go to our Etsy shop, which is Charm ND Store on Etsy. So please give it a check out and love the Charm ND.
It's not. The opposite of uncertainty is trusting yourself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hash that out a little bit.
Hash that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. And you think about, yeah, if I trust myself, I can navigate all these different situations. I can be agile. I
Mhm.
can pivot.
Yeah.
I can know that I can respond in a way that's effective, or I know that I can get what I need to do to handle these changing situations.
Right. Right. So,
And so a lot of the discomfort and anxiety that so many people have is really stemming from this deep distrust of their own selves, that they don't trust their abilities
yeah,
and they don't trust their emotions. And if you're not tuning into those emotions, or you don't validate your own emotions, it's going to be very hard to trust yourself.
absolutely. Now, in terms of trusting yourself, there's been some tools that have come out, like social media, where people have this world of a world that may not be completely true shown to them. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you've seen the role social media has? I know everyone says that it's so bad, but like maybe even giving me a side too of there are some positives, or like what are your thoughts on social media as a whole?
Well, okay, this is great. So my daughter and I in 2018 started Positivity's workshops and webinars
Ooh,
in
good.
the aftermath of a school shooting in Florida.
Oh wow.
And by the way, my daughter is an IDEA fellow, the IDEA Center.
Oh, there we go. Raise the roof.
Um, we started doing workshops and webinars for teenagers about um, life uncertainty and about the negative impact of social media,
Yeah,
or the navigating of the digital world as a teen.
true.
And so Caitlin and I have been speaking about this since 2018. And then, of course, COVID happened. And so we did most of our work virtually. We've done webinars literally with people all over the world.
Nice.
And so, one of the things that social media does, it gives us sense of being connected, but you're really not truly connected.
Yeah,
It is a connection that is very limited or short lived. It can be very short lived.
face value.
And, you know, you are so interconnected on one level, yet also feel so alone on another level.
I know. I know. I've been in it, and the amount of hours that you're spending on it being projected a world that is absolutely curated. So you're not seeing what sometimes you are seeing the truth, right? But
Mhm.
everything has some sort of curation to it. It's what they want you to see as well.
Yeah, or filtered,
Right. Right.
right?
All the
And
yeah.
so then it goes, well, what is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it also for, I think, especially younger women, it also is a stage upon which everyone's comparing one another.
Absolutely.
And that saying is so true, comparison's the thief of joy.
I know. I've been told that, and I could say it as many times as you want, but it is hard because I do this podcast and like I compare it to other podcasts. I'm a big podcast guy. I like listening to them and stuff like that. And you want to grow or you want to do this or that, you start to compare. But then
Right.
get back to the core of just being able to sit down with somebody, talk to them about their work and their experience, that's where the beauty and the joy comes. The joy comes from the the journey, not necessarily some sort of destination. That's what everybody comes to see. Once they hit that destination, they're like, what am I doing this for?
Right. And so there's another way of looking at it. So if, you're spending 6 to 8 hours a day on social media, which many
Many
young
people
people
do.
do,
Many people do.
um, you're basically the product.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are the product.
So, yeah.
You're being data mined.
Yep, all my data. Oh my gosh, everybody's data. Everybody that's listening is having their data recorded right now.
So, that's great if you're working for Mark Zuckerberg, but you're not getting paid to do that. So
Mhm.
you're basically giving up your precious time
Yeah,
and your mind to other people and not investing in yourself or even giving yourself joy.
yep, yep. They say, oh, all these apps are free, but the costs are so much more. It's like the cost of not being outside. It's the cost of not going to talk to your family or hanging out with them or going to experience that play or just living.
Yeah, just living and making important connections for support which you need for your life.
100%.
And then you sort of look at this with, you know, the perspective of, well, what's it actually doing to my brain?
Yeah.
And then it gets very interesting because what I've seen, and this is in my role as I'm also a neuropsychologist and trained in that arena as well. What so many of these apps and games do is basically train you to be more reactive and less proactive.
Really? So they've seen studies of that happening to children and as it grows up, or it's,
Well, just look
yeah.
at your performance. So, when we look at like the swipe apps,
Oh man. Yeah, no, I'm a product of this because I grew up like my first phone was a Razor, right? So I thought I was the coolest guy in the world. I looked like Jack Bauer in 24, if you ever watched that show.
yes, I forgot that. Yes.
Yeah, and then it came to the keyboards, and then it came to this phone, and my screen time has exponentially grown. It's probably, I mean, it was like 2 hours back in the day, and now you're working, you can't leave without your phone. Like it is a part of daily life. They've made it an area where your bank account's on there, your friendships can be on there, your social media, which is a part. It's almost like you have a digital twin out there now, and so you can't give it up. But I think that there is such a push though from people and from a lot of younger generations where they're seeing like also isn't good. They're seeing it's creating depression, it's creating this anxiety.
It does. Well, we have research on that the amount of time that a teenager spends on their device is correlated with higher levels of depression and anxiety.
Okay. Okay.
And then just a practical management perspective.
Yeah.
So when you're a young person out of college trying to get a job, so, I think that this younger generation that grew up with social media, and they're just a little bit younger than you because you were probably, already more discerning. But,
No, thank
the,
you.
the kids, the kids graduating now from college or this class of 25, when you look at it, they've had the iPhone since preschool.
Oh my
Right?
god.
iPhone's been out there since preschool.
They're born with it. They know how to operate everything on it out of the womb, I swear.
Yeah. And so you see all these babies in restaurants, I'm sure, and they're all on their iPad swiping, right?
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
know how to swipe before they read. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so when I speak to professors in graduate schools and when I speak to businessmen and attorneys hiring young people, they want people who have strong emotional communication skills. They
Okay.
want people that can respond professionally. They want people who can navigate conversations successfully.
Hmm.
It's not going to mean a lot if you are a straight A student and cannot communicate.
Right. Right. You need to be versatile. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to have that human connection in business.
Absolutely. I'm in sales and it's all about trust. You only ever do business with people that you trust. And
Right.
as much as anybody talks about technology making your life so much easier, what it's doing is it's actually disconnecting a lot of people or it's taking people away from each other. And
Yes.
I have to figure out different ideas and different ways of getting in front of somebody, talking on the phone. Like what an astronomical idea of calling somebody up. But we don't like to do that because it's been ingrained into us like you have to deal with what you fear.
Right. And like, I mean, if you talk to a lot of teens about selling, for example, and cold calling, they're going to say something like, no, they'll think I'm a stalker,
Yeah.
right? They're adverse to selling
Hmm.
and they're so afraid.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, you're a businessman, you're in sales, right? All business is people business
It's all people business at the end of the day.
at the end of the day. And I don't know if did they cover that at Notre Dame in graduate school?
So, as a management degree, it was a heavy idea about that. But the way that I see Notre Dame, fantastic school, I loved it. But the grad programs work, in my opinion, and operate a little bit differently, where I think it is ultimately a program to meet the people around you and become friends with the people around you and cultivate those relationships. Because the learning is the learning, right? You're going to have a great professor, but can you sit down with them after a class and have a conversation about what you just learned? Or can you apply this to a project that you're across campus at the library, sitting around a bunch of people and, and saying like, where does this connect in my life and where does this connect in your life?
Right.
It's not about the content. It's about the people that you meet there that have the common goals that hopefully you can build and continue to build throughout your life.
Well, that's great because the advice that I gave my daughter when she was deciding on schools,
Yeah,
and of course, I knew that she was going to choose Notre Dame,
of
but the
course. Come
advice the advice that I gave her was, I'm not sending you to college. I'm sending you to people.
on. Whoa, nice. She made the right choice, I think.
Absolutely.
That is like the beauty of Notre Dame in a nutshell. It's the people that you meet there, and it's a bought in community. Like my dad went there, I went to school there, and my brother just got his MBA there. And
Okay.
yeah, it's I always joke it's the best cult in the world. It's like the most positive cult you could be a part of.
It is. And it's a really special community. And that's why, I was just so thrilled to work with Kathleen Kiefer on this
Yeah,
book and her illustrations made it come to life and why we're so honored to partner with the Parseghians,
yeah.
Cindy and Mike. Um, Coach Era kicked off this Era Parseghian medical research fund for rare diseases um, over over 30 plus years ago.
Oh, wow.
Um, he lost three grandchildren to Niemann-Pick Type C disease. Cindy and Mike's three of their children
Wow.
passed away from this at young ages. And so Notre Dame has done such an amazing job of really progressing the knowledge about rare diseases, and in particular, this rare disease, Niemann-Pick type C. And now recently, the FDA approved a drug
No
for
way.
the treatment of it.
That's nice.
Thanks to the support and the researchers connected with Notre Dame and their partner institutions.
Yeah, yeah. I think Notre Dame does some of the best research. I know a few PhD students in there, all brilliant people, and that's what they say too. It's like we're not even a football university; it's a research university. It's like
Yes.
growing good, right?
Yeah, you're a force for good in the world. And you think about the, what this family has been through and taking this tragedy 3 times over
Wow.
and doing something that will potentially save the lives of so many children and already improving the treatment over the past 30 years for these children.
Yeah, that's so special that you can tie such a strong cause to it because
Mhm.
you're giving awareness and to see these rare diseases, yeah, there's plenty of other diseases that are being researched or that they're trying to come up with these things. But this is kind of for the forgotten. This is for the people that have really dealt with a lot of hardship. And to be able to have a foot in that, I absolutely love it. Like whenever I get sales for CharmND, I try and redonate it back to the clubs and stuff like that. It's not about how you make your money. It's not about what how much money you have. It's what you're doing with your money at the
Yeah.
end.
And that reflects that you're very purpose driven type of man.
Thank
And those people tend to be the happiest people.
Yeah, yeah. I will say we were talking about this whole like psychology of things though. As I get into a big think, it's my somebody was telling me it was like inner locus, outer locus, right? Like I have an inner locus where I'm always trying to improve. Now at some point you have to take those moments to say like, hey, it's okay. Like things are fine. But it's better to be that than just say, well, this is where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And know what your destination is.
Exactly. Uh, Tom Mendoza, so Mendoza Business School, he always talks about this theory and this idea of how you're building out your goals. And everyone doesn't want to talk about the 1 year, 5 year, because it's so far away. What you should do is you should do 30, 60, 90, and you do 2 things professional, 2 things personal, because after
Mhm.
6, you start to lose track of any sort of decision making there, and you're going to create more anxiety for yourself because you're going to have a whole list and you can't cross it all off. Truth be told, I'm a list maker. I love a good list, but by doing that, you're breaking it down smaller, and then do a couple yearly goals and things like that as well.
Well, Jimmy Dunn speaks about his macro goals and micro goals,
Yeah, yeah.
and the way that I think, especially younger people can feel less overwhelmed by destination and goals and direction for their life is actually by reverse engineering it.
Mm,
So to make your timeline backwards.
okay.
So if you imagine, well, what's your best life scenario in 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay, think about that. What do you see? Where are you working? Where are you living? What have you achieved? And then you actually make the timeline backwards. So you make the timeline back from, 2030.
I'm going to try that.
That's it. That's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you start understanding the what you need to do, and you start understanding the why, so you can kind of ask about the why a little
Well,
bit.
and the how,
Yeah, and the how.
and
Well,
the
because
how.
like I want to be able to lift, like say you want to work out, or you want to have a 6 pack, right? By this next year, it's like okay, but you deal with all that stuff. You have to hit the gym 5 days a week. You have to cut out this, and then that idea and worry can make you just be paralyzed, right? So
Yeah. Well, here's another really, interesting example. So I'm a huge Notre Dame football fan,
yeah,
and I have a message for Coach Freeman and
he's
you
off.
know and
Yeah.
and, and Pete.
Okay, yeah, I gotta get.
Okay, our goal is to beat Michigan when we play them in, is it 2033 or 2032?
I think, do we have a home and home? I think we have a home and home with them. So
So it's like, it's way out. It's like 20, I think it's 2032 or
which is
2033.
a travesty, by the way. We should play them every year. But
So, well, we know who made that deal. So,
mhm.
but where do we need to be as a football team to beat Michigan in 2033? So that means, well, what do we need to have in place by 2032? But what do we need in place, before that, camp, that summer of 33, let's say? Who do we need to recruit then in 29?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Who do we need to cultivate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do we need to get in place to commit to be, our, our offensive coach?
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of standards are we going to be
Right.
putting in place?
Right. The development of our quarterback, the development of our defensive line. So I'm sure Coach Freeman's doing this, but I'll just remind him if he's listening. So
Yeah.
this is like our goal,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to work backwards.
Also, just beat Army, though. That's all that matters. I know. It's like you don't want to think too far ahead, but that's smart because can this week's work that you're putting in now impact you 2 years down the line, 4 years down the line?
Yeah.
It's the instant gratification, though, that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Well, it's sort of inherent in business as well, as you know, because so many, it's all based on what you did last quarter. What you're,
And up.
right?
That's the truth.
Right. And so, when you start looking at it, well, I'm investing in this organization and I want sustainability. Then when you start looking at it from the destination you seek and then work backwards, then you know the tasks that you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about that with my work. And I think everybody should do that because if you're doing something and you don't have a plan going forward, then what's the point of you doing it? You can kind of be a little aimless and stuff. And I'm working for a software firm that you don't know what the future is going to bring, but if you have an idea of where you can insert yourself or make yourself more valuable, they want to do that for you too. It's symbiotic.
Well, yes. And so you have to be purpose driven.
Yeah.
And so you can have a purpose that you see yourself fulfilling in this job, even if it's not the job you're going to stay with for the entirety of your life. You can be purposeful in what you want to learn out of this job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that if you're not living your life on purpose, then you're living your life by accident. And
Oh,
doesn't feel good.
that's a good line. That's a strong line right there. If you're not living your life on purpose, you're living your life on accident.
By accident. Yep. And a lot of people are living their life by accident.
So you gave one idea of how to work through that instead of saying why, going to the what. Do you have any other thought processes and ideas of how you can create that shift?
Well, yeah, I gave you let's just recap on some
Yeah,
strategies that I shared with you. So you're going to go to the what, not the why.
yeah,
And the what can lead to many other what questions. What's this telling me? What am I afraid of? What is it that I need? Is it something I need to know more of? Do I need help? Do I need to fill in knowledge gaps? What do I need to do? What actions can I take?
yeah, yeah.
And that's going to lead you to finding solutions
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and feeling better.
Ayo Luckies, this is Carter Loesch from the Luck Management Podcast, and it is my distinct pleasure today to announce t-shirts have been released. Available on my Instagram page for _luck management and also on CharmND's Etsy shop. And now these shirts are a great way for you to rep your love for the podcast, your appreciation and support for the show, and just to share and work out in, go walking in, walk your dog in. Heck, go to the pool in the shirt. Somebody sees it. Whoa, that's such a cool shirt. Where'd you get that? Yeah, it's a really cool podcast. You should check it out. The Luck Management Podcast. And, this shirt, even though it's simple, it embodies the luck management lifestyle. And I would so appreciate it if you would consider purchasing it and wearing it in pride and in your love for Notre Dame. So please check it out and keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace.
The other thing we talked about was knowing your destination.
Yeah.
And it can feel overwhelming, but visualize your best life scenario. It could be 10 years from now or 5 years from now, and work backwards. Make a timeline and do it backwards from that point in time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that way you'll know what you have to put in place each year.
Cool.
And that provides you structure in your life where you may not feel you've got structure in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to create it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to be doing all these things, by the way.
That's so good. And be purpose driven.
Yeah.
Okay. So often, we hear, oh, life's about the journey. Well, what does that mean? Is that just relegating what happens to fate? Does that just mean I'll just wait for life to happen to me?
Luck.
That's not a very safe place.
Right. Luck in that
Nope.
case.
Okay. So I contend that luck management is the luck you make for yourself. It's not just luck. Okay. Yeah. It's that you're putting things into place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's taking an opportunity, or just taking that moment to say, I am here, and what am I going to do with it? But also, how are you going to make it work for you? I've loved being able to see that, because that's where the most success comes from.
Yeah. And you're also making choices that are based on where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you know your destination, it's easier to make decisions, right? Does that make sense? That's the next strategy, right? Because the right decision should be the decision that gets you one step closer to that goal.
Right. My goal was at first to get to 20 episodes. And then my goal was to get to 100 episodes. And you are episode 104.
Oh, I love it.
I know. And I have to kind of think about what the next goals are. Because I've proven to myself that I could do it. I could drop a podcast every single week, and I could talk to the most amazing people. But once you hit that goal, I thought it was going to be the craziest thing, hitting 100. And honestly, what happened to me is I didn't want to record episode 100 because I wanted it to be so much more grandiose or something, because I'd hit that goal. And it's like, okay, now what?
Well, that's what you're going to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And take into consideration the different talents that you have, the different connections you have, the businesses you have, and how they can work together, or you make them interconnected with your podcast, or so that you can reach your ultimate destination.
Absolutely. Oh, this is I feel like I got to pay you for this session. You've been helping out here. But I do have one last question too. Were there any books that you read, or that really impacted you to write this book, or that have had a profound impact on you to write a book?
Oh, thank you. I just think that I read a lot of books when I was younger that really touched on the emotional journey of children. And I think that's great for all kids to do that. And as a parent, I did that with my daughter.
Nice.
And I wanted you to know that you can get my book
Yeah.
at the Hamlis bookstore on campus.
Oh, it's in there. Nice.
It's
Okay.
in the bookstore. We had a book signing a couple weeks ago. You can also get it on Amazon, Your Tiger Inside.
Yep.
And you can also go to our website, yourtigerinside.com,
Okay.
where you're going to learn more about the book, more about Kathleen and myself, and about our support of the ERA Parseghian Rare Disease Research Fund.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to be ordering a book, and everybody, you can find it on all these different areas she just listed. So I'm actually going to put
Oh, yeah. It makes a really great Christmas gift.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Even just to, you know, your cousins, your anyone that you know that's just younger, and even dealing with this stuff, because as you can listen to these episodes, the principles last for years, not just in a few pages, right?
Yeah. And, if you order off my website, you'll get a little tiger with the book for a
Oh,
child.
cool.
Well, supplies last, so hurry up.
Yeah, yeah. So everyone, this will be on underneath the episode. Check it out. Like it's awesome. Sherry, will you write again after this? Is this your first book, and will it continue on for you?
Oh, thank you. I am hoping to write another book, another children's book about emotions and problem solving. So,
Oh,
yes.
we'll have you on for that one.
Have me on for that. And I think it might be a zebra this time because the zebra is the mascot for the Rare Disease Foundation.
Ah, the way to go. Um, and I feel like we could go for like an
Well,
hour.
have me on again.
I will.
And, it'd be great. And we can talk about, uh, ideas for graduates and how to get out there and get that job.
Absolutely. There's so much content out there, but to be able to have it pinpointed for the younger generations to just get a tip or two. That's why I do this podcast. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate this time together.
It
And
was great being with you. Thank you.
yeah, so wherever you listen to podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, and we're also available on YouTube. So please check us out, and keep living the luck management lifestyle.
Thank you so much. Go Irish.
Go Irish.